Hi guys, in this tutorial we're making a Hocus Pocus inspired cake complete with all three Sanderson sisters, Billy and Binx. Starting with a 4-inch round cake, cover it in white sugar paste. We don't have to be neat here as it will be textured and bumpy. Trim some excess off the bottom, leaving a few centimetres from the base. Loosen the sugar paste and the cake from your workboard and elevate it on something smaller than your cake. I'm just using a ramekin. Smooth the sugar paste down past the cake drum and trim off the overhang. Run your hand around the base just to neaten it up. Place the cake back on the workboard and give it a quick smooth. Again, we aren't looking for a neat cake, just to sharpen the top a little. Using a texture mat, press this against the sides and the top. If you don't have a texture mat, scrunched tin foil will work just fine. Links to everything I use will be in the description box. Next, score in some lines with a Dresden tool. A circular type patch where the book's eye will go, and then the lines coming out from that. With the fatter side of the Dresden tool, mark in some divots and crease lines. With brown chroma airbrush colour, add in a full base colour. Then deepen the colour in the lines, creases and marks. On a 6-inch pre-covered cake in white, apply spooky mist and cloud shapes, starting at the bottom with blue. There is a clearer tutorial on this technique in the zombie video linked in the top right corner. Once you've done a few lines of blue, graduate up to purple with drops of purple airbrush colour. Fill in the top of the cake and remaining white areas in purple. Add some black around the bottom and top rim. Draw in some background tree trunks with the airbrush, adding in wandering branches as you go. Also some terrain around the bottom and a black mist rising up from that. Cover your board in green mixed with a little brown to make a marbling effect. Full tutorial on the board covering method is in the iCard. Cut out a rough rectangle shape to the right of the cake for Billy's grave. Fill it in with black sugar paste. Roll out rough sausages of dark brown and line the edges of the grave, patting in texture with the Dresden tool. I use bubble tea straws for stacking. They are wider than a standard drinking straw, cheap, strong and easy to cut. I'll leave a link in the description. As a guide, I usually use one more straw than the size of the cake above it, so the cake sitting on these is a 4-inch, so I'll use 5 straws. If it was a 5-inch cake, I'd use 6 straws. Insert your first straw into the centre. Hold with your finger where it meets the cake and snip with scissors. You want the straw to just sit below the surface of the icing. Do the same with the other straws and space them out evenly. Ganache acts like a glue for sticking your cakes together. I always cover the tops of the straws and the centre. Place your cake on top and centre it before the ganache sets. 4-inch cakes that have had time to set are easy to handle, but for larger cakes or where the paste is still soft, just lift it with a knife. Cut out a large circle in pale yellow for the moon and add it to the front of the cake, smoothing the edges with your hands. With white paint, paint in some lightning bolts. I just use rainbow dust snowdrift powder mixed with water. Savour this moment, screenshot it if you must. This probably only happens once a year. My hands holding a piping bag with royal icing inside. Me and royal icing don't get on and never have, so don't be looking to me for tips on this. I'm just winging it. Luckily we are making creepy stitches, so my crap skills actually come in handy for once. The icing is a light brown colour with a number 1 tip, and you'll want to go all over the lines. You'll notice how I do a few stitches and then stop. That's because the fatty part of my thumb was literally screaming. Hats off to you royal icers. Using dark brown, roll out some tapered sausages for trees and add these around the cake. If you've watched my previous tutorials, you'll have seen me do this loads of times. You know the drill: branches, texture, more trees around the back, and some dark green paste for the leaves that you just attack with a piping tip. Now for the name. Roll out some black paste that you've added Tylo to make it firmer. I've got the name traced onto greaseproof, and you want to outline it with the Dresden tool and then cut it out with a scalpel, leaving it to set up for a few minutes on a foam pad. Whilst it's firming, we can get on with the book's eye. Cut out an eye shape from the centre and fill it back in with white paste. Using a light brown colour mixed with a little bit of orange, create eyelids with sausages of paste, adding in creases and wrinkles. The iris is just a ball of lime green pushed into the centre. Mark out a frame around the eye with water for the clasp. Add a strip of dark grey paste round it, and with a small ball tool press in 3 dots followed by a line, then another 3 dots and a line until you get all the way around. Taking a fine paintbrush, paint around the outer edge of the iris and lines going inwards in either grey, brown or dark green paint. Finish it off with the black pupil and a small catchlight. Using dark silver metallic paint, coat the whole clasp. Line up your name how you want it to appear on the cake. I'm using the lines on my mat to help keep them straight. Next, get a strip of greaseproof paper, some veg fat such as Trex, and a pastry brush. Brush one side of the greaseproof paper with Trex and lay that side down carefully over your letters. Pat the paper down to stick each part of the letter to it. Carefully pick up your paper and flip it over. Dampen the backs of the letters. Then hold the paper up, getting it level and in the position you want before pushing it against the cake. Tap the letters against the cake and slowly peel the paper away, revealing a centred and even name. You can also paint on yellow splodges to the moon for craters, but this is obviously optional. For the headstone, roll out some grey paste, leaving it quite chunky. Use your fingers to round it into shape and cut the bottom straight. Add in some weathering with a Dresden tool and place it at the head of the grave. With a fine paintbrush and black paint, write the inscription, William Butcherson, 1693. The one in the film is much longer, but you get the point. Now for Winnie Sanderson. Her body is a dark green cone shape with the top cut off. Insert a cocktail stick down to secure it to the cake. Add in a strip of purple sugar paste to the front. For her coat, use the same green colour in a rectangle, but cut out semicircle shapes from the sides and the top corners. Wet the centre and wrap around the body, meeting the points at the front and curling the remaining top piece down into a collar. Add in a few pleats to the bottom of the dress. For the arms, roll out a tapered sausage and pull the larger end down to create a sleeve. Trim the arm at an angle and add to the body with half a cocktail stick. Repeat for her other arm. Her hands are small balls of flesh paste, flattened and added to the sleeves. Push the ends back a little so it looks like she has them held out. Add in 2 small yellow balls where the coat joins and paint a crisscross design on the purple strip. For Sarah Sanderson, her skirt starts as a red cone, but even more chopped off the top. Add in some pleats. Her top is a pale pink colour in a mini cone shape, cut flat on the top. Roll out some strips of dark purple paste and add these on either side of the red skirt. As the top is a corset, add in a tiny pink triangle to the bottom and smooth it in. Again, add the crisscross detail. Roll out a pink sausage for her arm, and Sarah's hand is also a ball of flesh but with white added to make her paler. She only needs one arm at the moment. Mary's skirt is done in the same way but in brown, and her top is red. Paint in black stripes, white stripes, and then a cross in yellow to create a tartan pattern. Add in a torn triangle of brown paste to the front of the skirt and texture it. Her arms are a rusty orange colour and flesh balls for her hands. Also add a small piece to the front of the top and add a crisscross pattern in black. Next it's time for the heads. I have 4 polystyrene balls for weightlessness and 3 cocktail sticks. Sarah's head is pale flesh colour. Push the polystyrene ball inside and start bringing it up around the sides and secure the top. Roll it between your hands to smooth it out before inserting a cocktail stick and popping it to one side. Mary's head is in the regular flesh colour straight out of the packet, as is Winnie's. Billy's head is a pale greeny grey colour. Add in 2 small flattened balls of the pale greeny grey for Billy's hands. Push on his head and indent subtle eye sockets with your fingers or a Dresden tool. Paint in a cute smile but with stitch detailing, a bit like Jack Skellington. Also paint the eye sockets in grey, dabbing away the colour with your finger. 2 small black balls for pupils and 2 small white ones for catchlights, because even zombies deserve pretty eyes. His hair is just spikes of black paste added to the back and up over the top. Thackery Binx is made with a black sausage pinched in at the waist and then up into a neck. Sit him on the board on the left. Press in curves for his back legs and squashed balls at the base for his paws. Insert a cocktail stick to support his head. Front legs are sausages flattened at the paw and toe details pressed in with a scalpel. Attach the legs to the front of the body. His tail is just a sausage of paste bent into an S shape around the back. His head is an oval shape with eye sockets pressed in with the ball tool. His nose is a triangle shape pressed in and his mouth are just 2 lines. Add this to the body and insert white eyes, then black, then white again for the catchlights. I've seen Hocus Pocus a ton of times, but only recognised Thackery Binx was played by McGee from NCIS a few years ago. Seriously had no idea. Go and check it out. His ears are triangles, hollowed with the Dresden tool and cut flat. Now for Winnie's head. Paint on her iconic teeth with white paint. Red lips over the top and underneath, and then black for the centre line, smile and gap between the lips. Trim the cocktail stick down a little and lower her head onto her body. As I didn't want to push too far and snap her collar, I added in a little strip of green to hide any remaining stick. Same as Billy, 2 small black balls for eyes, but with the addition of pale pink tic tac shapes underneath them. Add in the catch lights. Cut a circle from some ginger coloured sugar paste and dampen it. Stick it to the back of the head and smooth in. Add in some hairlines. Roll a sausage of paste and curl it in on itself, chopping the join flat. Attach this to one side of the head, smoothing it in, and add some texture to the hair. The centrepiece just wraps over the joins and comes down at a slight point. Sarah next on the paler face. Red lips painted on with red gel colour mixed with water and a little white powder. A little beauty spot to the bottom left and a line through the smile. Trim down the stick and place it on her body. Eyes go on in the same way but with little painted on eyelashes. Now we can give her second arm. Dampen that little bald head ready for hair. Using a pale yellow, cut out an elongated oval shape and attach it to her back and head. For her curls, roll out tapered sausages and twist between your fingers. Attach them to the side of her head. For Mary's comical expression, paint the lips off to one side and a black line in the centre. Pop her head on her body and attach the eyes. Cut a circle of black for the back of her head and smooth it on. Her main hairpiece is a black spike of fondant flattened out at the bottom and smoothed down the sides of her head. Add 2 small curls to each side and a sausage fringe. Don't forget the age on the front. I used the funky tappet set for the number 3. And it's those grass clumps again, spikes of fondant, grouped together and cut flat. Add these all around the cake. And we're done. If you enjoyed this tutorial, please feel free to share it with others so I can continue to make videos for you. Thanks guys, see you in the next one.